How you doing?
Oh, nice.
Doing all right?
Good. I'm good. Yeah. I'm
me
kind of
too.
happy we were lazy this month because we were like, okay, we just finished a marriage retreat this weekend and we were going to do something else for Love Month. And I was like, oh, let's just recap the marriage retreat because it was awesome. So that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
So then I didn't have to do any extra studying.
Yeah. I
which
mean,
made me
because there's
lazy.
plenty here. Like, this is amazing stuff.
No, it was so good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good retreat. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, today we're just talking about the two sections we covered at the beginning, and then we'll just name drop the other three sections. But hey, we're talking about a book, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to be today hitting on some topics that we talked about at our recent marriage retreat.
Yeah.
And it was based on the book Us in Mind. Yeah, by Ted Lowe.
It was so
good. He really hits five big things. We're just going to do two of them today.
Yeah, two of them today, and we can name drop the other things. But I really relate with him because he's like kind of crazy like I am, and he's got ADHD and he's got issues. And so I'm like, I like this Ted guy.
This Ted guy, yeah, he's crazy, but good.
Yeah.
It was a great book.
Are you saying I'm crazy? I know, right? I already know that, so whatever.
All right. Well, welcome to the Marriage Monthly podcast.
Yeah.
We are Gabe and Melissa Kolstad. I always do it backwards. Gabe and Melissa Kolstad.
I know. Yeah.
If you're watching, you saw that. If you're listening, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. If you're not listening, I mean, if you're seeing us, you're going to see that I was super lazy today and just wear a sweatshirt and a hat. I need to color my hair, so don't judge me. But
I don't judge you.
Thanks. I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about how you can build the best marriage possible. And really, there are two big components that we're going to talk about. And so I'm going to kick off the first one, which is really a little bit about how to become a more encouraging spouse, I think, if you really get to the end of it. But I just want to share this. I think one of the most important roles of a spouse is to be an encourager. That you go, hey, I'm taking this role on. I'm going to adopt this person as the person I'm going to encourage.
Yeah,
but
cheerleader.
Yeah, I'll be the cheerleader. But I know from personal experience, it's hard to be encouraging when you yourself feel discouraged.
Yeah.
And a lot of times where marriages break down isn't even in the relationship with the other person. It's in the relationship with yourself, because that's where all the encouragement either starts or stops. And so,
yeah, I mean, if you don't like a lot of the aspects of yourself, you're really going to be nitpicky with your spouse too, because you're just grumpy about yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we have in our experience, we have 28 years of marriage experience. If you're just tuning in, we got lots of these episodes that go back a long ways. We started this a while back. But yeah, we got 28 years of marriage experience. And one of the things that happened when we first got married is I came into our marriage with a bit of insecurity and self-doubt.
Everybody comes in with baggage, though.
I know we all come with baggage. My particular baggage was insecurity. I mean, I don't know if it was the way I grew up, the amount of times we moved, the fact that my parents had just gotten divorced right before we got married. There was some insecurity
All
there.
the above.
Yeah. And so for me, this really hits home, is that, if you don't feel great about yourself, it's hard to be an encouraging spouse. Mm-hmm. And so...
But it's not like you weren't an encouraging spouse. Like,
well,
I think you were conscious of what you were doing. You were just defensive a lot because you were insecure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to read a couple. So in each one of these things, we're just going to do two things today. But the first one is about encouragement and stuff. And the question that Ted Lowe asks in this book, Us in Mind, is, what do you think about yourself?
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because whatever you think about yourself, you're going to project that onto your spouse, right? And we've seen that in our own marriage. We've seen that in other marriages. Each one of the chapters in that book has a question, and then which is, what do you think about yourself, for this first one, and then an intentional thought, which is, remember who I am. So important.
It is important, because like, if you only think of the negative, I'm not good at this and that and everything, it's like, that's brutal. You're a child of God, made in the image of God. So you got to think, I'm something special.
Right.
Even if you don't feel it, you got to start thinking it. Eventually you'll feel it.
you gotta be willing to go to the truth. So the truth is, in Romans 8:15 in Scripture, it says, "So you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. Instead, you received God's Spirit when He adopted you as His own children. Now we call Him Abba, Father." So there's this new relationship, and a new life, and a new identity that God gives us as His followers.
Adopted.
We're adopted. And so we belong, and we're special to Him. He sees us as His kids. Mm-hmm. And if you're a parent, you know what that feels like. You know how much love that is. You see your child as your child.
And the last thing you want is for your child to not love themselves and be insecure and be running around this world half-hearted because they don't like themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to have any relationship if you don't like yourself.
Yeah.
Any relationship, especially a spouse.
Absolutely. So think about this for a second. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see a failure? Do you see somebody who's not measuring up? Or do you see a child of God? Because that's who God sees. And what the real encouragement of this book is, if you want to be more encouraging, you kind of got to start encouraging yourself with the truth. The truth is, you're God's child. He loves you. You're capable. You can do this. You can be an encourager. You're going to succeed at marriage. You know, all the thoughts that he wants us to have. And I think that changes it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I love about this book, Us in Mind, is how Ted makes it real by saying he's got this kind of inner critic, and he names his inner critic Fred. Which I think is so funny.
It's brilliant because it kind of like disassociates it with who you are.
Yeah.
This like multiple personalities maybe, but that's kind of weird. But it's like this other person, Fred, is the negative one, and you want to kind of split that because you don't want that to be a part of your identity. You want to be like, no, that's Fred with those negative thoughts. Yeah.
I'm going to read this real quick. This is an excerpt. It says, Fred's words can make you nervous, anxious, insecure, worried, frustrated, and lonely, which aren't exactly adjectives that describe a spouse ready to love and serve, or even able to receive love for that matter. Let me give you an example of how Fred works. Imagine you're scrolling on your phone and you see a social media post of a friend from high school. Fred compares your life to theirs and declares you the loser. After hearing that, now imagine your spouse walking in to discuss the credit card bill. How do you think that's going to go? Fred has officially set that conversation up to lose because you entered that conversation with a negative mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, like, you were saying the thing about compared, right? And I think a lot of times, like, negativity wins in our life a lot of times because we are comparing. We're like, especially girls are really bad about it. The guys probably are too, but girls, I just know because I'm a chick. But it's like, oh, I'm not pretty enough. Oh, I have wrinkles. Oh, my clothes are too tight. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, this doesn't look good. And we're so critical. She's prettier. She's smarter. She's more talented. She sings better. She, like, anything. Like, there's so many things to be insecure about. But then we're always comparing to other people's social media or friends that we know. And it's really hard on you. If you just focus on where your shortcomings are, you are going to be a negative Nelly. Sorry to the Nellies out there, but it's not cool.
I do feel sorry for the Nellies.
I do. And the Karens.
Yeah.
Sorry for Karens too. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with negativity, a lot of times because you're comparing yourself to other people, it's really also because you're dealing with pain. Because I was thinking about this. When you have a lot of drama in your life or a lot of trauma in your background or disappointment, I guess we could call it that, you're negative because you're taking in all this baggage into this relationship and all this insecurity from your past and like coming into it being like, fix this.
Yeah.
I challenge you, fix me. That's not your spouse's role. No, your spouse's role is not to fix you or fill you or any of that kind of stuff. I think your spouse's role to love and encourage you unconditionally as you find the healing for your drama or your trauma, whatever it is, your disappointment. But that's on you.
Yeah.
Because when you bring the negativity in and it surfaces loud in your relationship, how do you come over? Like, you don't win.
Right.
Like, that's just a recipe for disaster when you can't deal with your own pain and you're comparing yourself all the time. That's just going to be negativity is going to win because the loudest voice, is it your Fred? What did I name mine? I named mine something.
Was yours Wilma? I don't know.
Mine was Wilma.
Yeah.
Mine was Wilma.
Just because Fred and Wilma.
Yeah. Well, she's cool.
The Flintstones.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Classic. Anyways, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if Fred's getting the loudest voice in your head, oh my goodness, like, you are just an insecure person from the start. How are you going to treat your spouse with that?
Right.
It's impossible. So yeah, I think the loudest voice just dominates your thoughts, and that's what brings in the negativity and just destroys your marriage. Yeah. It's brutal. But I know you have some action steps.
Well, okay, so Ted gives some action steps in the book, and one of them is to identify your negative thoughts. I think that's, it's hard work because to go there means you sometimes we think, well, if I go there, I'm going to turn negative just because I'm going to be focusing on my negative thoughts. But I think the idea is to kind of, like you said in the beginning, dissociate yourself from them by saying, these thoughts are negative. I'm not negative. These thoughts are negative. There they are. And knowing what they are, I think, is really important. One of mine when we were first married was, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. My parents didn't do it, had that. And so I kind of had to identify that. And he suggests name your Fred, find a name where you can go like, almost, Fred, shut up.
Exactly.
You're wrong. Just you take the back seat. I'm going to drive this conversation. I'm going to trust God right now. I'm going to be kind to my spouse. I'm going to do the right thing even though I don't feel like it right now. And being able to do that. One of the things that he suggests is writing down God's message to you. And so we've got some verses that we thought might speak life into everyone.
Yeah. At the retreat, we did this thing where we had these verse cards on every table, and we had everybody at the table share the verse and then what it basically meant to them, what was God saying to you type thing. And it was so powerful because everybody at the table felt like they got the exact verse.
Yeah, that was so fun.
That was meant for them.
Yeah.
Which all these verses speak to me, but I just thought that was really cool. So I'll read them to you. There's 8 of them. Do you want to go back and forth?
No, you go.
Okay. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a hope and a future and hope. What are your words on that?
My words? I love it.
What is God saying to you?
Yeah, it's my favorite verse. It's tattooed on my arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to think about, don't be negative because God has your plans and they're good.
Yeah.
And he has a purpose. So that's what I get from it.
Yeah.
Philippians 2:13 says, for God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him.
I love that because I think a lot of times, like if it was me, I go, yeah, I know he can give me the power to do it, but I the desire, seems even more mysterious and complicated.
Yeah.
So the knowing that he does it, he's going to give you the desire and the power to do the right thing, that's really powerful.
Yeah, because I think human nature a lot of times is like, oh, your desires are not godly,
right,
or they're negative or whatever. God's not giving you power to do that, but he does give you the desire and the power to do what pleases him, which is awesome. Psalm 16:8 says, I know the Lord is always with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me.
Yeah, so good.
I love
just
that.
knowing he's right there.
I know.
Yeah.
We're not alone. Philippians 4:13, this is a popular one, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. You can do it all because you have Christ by your side. So he's giving you the strength to do it. Isaiah 41:10, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. I love that.
It's so good.
Yeah. There's something about the right hand in the Bible that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like represents strength.
Yep.
It's so funny. But anyways, so don't be afraid. He's with you. Don't be discouraged. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. That's good. Because we have a lot of fear. I think a lot of times we carry a lot of fear and we're timid a lot. And we don't need to be because we have God and he's given us the power and love and self-discipline.
Well, and to know that that's already been deposited in us and what maybe our then responsibilities to call it out, make room in a sense for those things to grow, for those things to come forth. It's already there. Right.
And then your other tattoo is Joshua 1:9.
Yeah.
This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Now, you go to a bad place, remember, the Lord's with you.
I know.
So you
I've
better
thought about
watch
that,
your step.
Yeah.
Because you're dragging God wherever you go. But yeah. But anyways, those are some encouraging verses we had at the retreat.
Ooh, let me read the last one. So good. Zephaniah 3:17. It says, for the Lord your God is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness. With his love, he will calm all your fears. He will rejoice over you with joyful songs.
Oh, he will rejoice over you. Think about that. Like I often think about my relationship with God as like kind of represents a little bit my relationship with my kids. And when my kids are happy and joyful and they're doing something cool or they're performing, my kids are all musicians. And so I'm like ear to ear, just smiling. Like I'm so proud of my kids. They bring so much joy and rejoicing to my life. So I just love that. And I think that God does that when we do it right, what's right, what pleases him. I think he's just smiling. He's so happy, just like we are with our kids when they're succeeding. That's fun.
Absolutely.
But look at yourself in a positive light. Get rid of that Fred head.
Yeah.
You know, that person in your head that's like Fred.
head.
It's like, because they're ruining you. They're going to ruin your relationship, because it's hard to be loving and positive when you're feeling negative all the time in your head.
Yeah.
Work through whatever you need to work through. Go to counseling, whatever you need to do to build the positive in your life. You know, find that healing. Go to recovery, whatever needs to happen for you to find the positive voice in your head and focus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So that's the first question, is what do you think about yourself? Second question is, what do you think about your spouse? And I think this gets real interesting. So to me, this is about kind of adjusting your thinking, because listen, how you think about your spouse will determine how you treat your spouse.
Yeah.
That's sort of scary. What you think about your spouse will determine how you treat your spouse. And
because if you think your spouse is dumb, or irresponsible, or lazy, or unpredictable, or get
these labels, start slapping them on.
with that. You're always late.
Right.
You're always.
And I love that quote: labeling only reinforces bad behavior. You know, which is so true in marriage for sure. They say in there, close proximity plus personality plus baggage equals the narrative you're telling yourself about your spouse. Which is an interesting question. Like, what is the narrative you're telling yourself about your spouse? They're always this, they're always that, they've always been, they never will. I mean, we got these narratives, and that's so important.
And it's weird, because when did those show up?
Yeah.
Because like when you're dating, when you're courting, you don't ever think about the negative.
No.
You're like, they are perfect in every way, just perfect.
And even if your friends try to criticize the person you're courting, you're out of my life. I'm never going to talk to you again.
Just cut you out. You're gone. Yeah. But no, it's true though, because we see no wrong when we're dating. Then all of a sudden life happens and everything's in the way. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh God, they're so annoying.
Yeah,
Why do they never, whatever.
So the intentional thought for chapter 2, or the second section in the book, which is, we're only going to go to the first 2, and then there's 3 more, is to see the best, to see the best. And I was thinking about those sitcom couples like, Ricky and Lucy Ricardo.
Oh, they bicker constantly.
Yeah. Fred and Ethel, also from I Love Lucy. These are way throwback. Raymond and Deborah from Everybody Loves Raymond. Red and Kitty.
Oh my gosh, from that 70s show. They are... He is such a jerk.
Yeah. Alan, Peggy Bundy, if you ever...
they're pathetic.
Yeah, that's awful stuff.
Don't copy those.
Yeah. Who are some good role models? What are some good activities? Philippians 4:8 tells us, now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what's true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. And one of the things I loved in the book was that not only does Ted Lowe say, name your negative self, but he also says, name your positive spouse. So good, right?
Yeah.
So he said he named his, this is kind of funny. And
I don't like his
It's
name,
interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully she likes it.
I guess.
But he calls her Pug.
Pug.
Which I guess it's a positive thing for him.
Maybe they like the dog. Like
maybe
that kind of pugs are cute or something.
I don't know. But he says that when he thinks of her like that, he treats her better. So, if you ever start to get negative about your spouse, what if you had a positive image you could just flip on instantly and be like, boom, that's them. Then all of a sudden you're going to treat them in that positive light. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we have a little idea here to plant a seed for everybody.
What we did at the retreat, which was kind of fun actually, is we named our spouse a superhero name.
Yeah.
So you need to think about your spouse as a superhero. You can use a spouse, like instantly Gabe and I are like, okay, he's like, you're Wonder Woman. And I'm like, oh, you're Iron Man. Like instantly. Not because of strength, but because of he's funny and he's strong and he's smart and he's witty. And I think Iron Man's cool. He's like my favorite guy superhero, but Wonder Woman's for sure my girl.
So you're saying you have a crush on Iron Man?
I do. Well, no. I mean, maybe.
Okay.
He's adorable. But but a lot of the people in the crowd at the retreat made new names, new superhero names.
I know.
Which was so creative. And they were talking about characters that they loved about their spouse, like their integrity, honorable.
I remember one was Positron.
Because they were so positive.
Yeah.
That was actually a really smart one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember any of the other ones, but they came up with some great names. And basically what they did where they were just taking a character that they loved about their spouse and named it.
Yeah, making a superhero
Like
character.
making a superhero out of it. So do that with your spouse if you're listening. Like go home or wherever and call your spouse the superhero name and then tell them why you picked that superhero name.
And if you really want to go the extra mile, you could make costumes and dress up.
Okay. I don't really get it.
That did not go over well.
No. Superheroes. Like, I mean, because we look at superheroes and we're like, they're super for a reason, right?
Right.
So is our spouse super? Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to keep the positive in the relationship, I think, is so important. We've often talked in this, like our podcast here, about the pie.
Yeah. Like what it means to have a pie that we're looking at, like a pie that you would eat.
Like, let's go with 16 slicer from Costco.
Okay.
The big
what's
ones.
the flavor?
Yeah, well, let's go pumpkin because I love their pumpkin
Pumpkin
pie.
is good,
So
but was it with or without whipped cream?
Well, you can add whip. Of
Okay,
course,
add whip. So we got a pumpkin pie with whipped cream.
Yeah.
16 slices.
Yeah.
I'm holding this pie in front of me right now.
Oh my gosh, I wish.
And I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at it just like if you're watching the YouTube right now, you're seeing me.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful,
It's
right?
so positive
I mean, it's amazing.
and beautiful. Yeah.
And I can see it really good, but I can only see the part that has all the slices in it. But on the part I'm not looking at, there's one slice missing.
Ooh.
Because we know this about every human being. We're all missing a slice, right? And so sometimes our spouse is
We're a
like
little
a
off.
pie. We're all a little off. And, you know, so the question is, which part are you going to focus on? Are you going to turn it around to where the only thing you see is the missing slice?
Yeah.
And you're going to focus on the flaw?
And you just focus on that. Like, you can't get past it. There's
Right.
15 other amazing slices that
Yeah.
we love about our spouse. And the one thing that drives us crazy, we just totally focus on it. Yeah.
So, because you can definitely do that. I mean, Melissa could look at me and she could focus on the flaws. It'd be very easy for her to do.
So, yeah. No, I was kidding. You brought that on yourself.
But anyways, but she doesn't. She focuses on the positive, and I do my best to do the same for her because there's so much great stuff. And that's going to be the thing that characterizes our marriage is what we choose to focus on, basically.
Exactly.
So when it comes to my spouse, make him a superhero.
Yeah.
Name them. Talk to them about how great they are. You know, you've already encouraged yourself if you've done the first part. Now it's time to encourage them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we did premarital counseling with my dad, this was like 29 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. But he would always have us do the 10 things you love about your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd also have the 10 things you want in your home, which I thought was actually really cool. I don't know what we did with that one, but we have our 10 things that we love about our spouse. And actually, when we were about 10 years in, we redid them because we were parents at that point. And let me just say, who you marry is not who you're going to be married to the rest of your life. People change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they morph. Like, I didn't like onions, peppers, any of the mushrooms,
olives,
and I kind of like all that stuff now.
All that stuff now.
Everybody changes, and let there be room for that. People often use the thing, we grew apart. I hate that saying. Grow together, grow up together. It's fun. So be together, have fun together. But I feel like a lot of times we forget what we love about each other. We forget the first love, like in Revelation. It's like, think about why you fell in love. There's a reason you got married. Like, there was reasons you totally adored each other and thought they were awesome. And then life happens and things become negative and you're busy and you're stressed out. You can't handle things and hard stuff comes. Seasons come, seasons go. You just carry through even the hard seasons. But you just keep going and you train yourself to remember why you love each other and what the positive things are about each other. So I'm going to read the things that we did. This was about 10 years in.
Okay.
What I love about Gabriel. You
had to use my full name.
I did. It was serious business.
Yeah.
He's a spiritual leader, great spiritual leader. He's very transparent, compassionate. He's a visionary. He's hardworking, fun, humble, romantic, patient, faithful. He's a great teacher and a fantastic daddy. Did we add extras?
Yeah, because there's 12.
That's because we're awesome.
So we
couldn't stop.
So we're going to redo these.
That's right. Did you do 12 for me too?
I did. Yeah, you ready?
Okay, you better have.
Okay, what I love about Melissa is this. One, she's inspiring. She's passionate. She's faithful. She's loving. She's supportive. She's fun. She's wise. She's disciplined. She's generous. She's creative. She's thoughtful. and she's the world's best mommy.
Aww.
Those are the things.
I haven't read that for a while.
Oh yeah. Well, I know, because what happens is basically the way this works. If you follow the instructions, okay, is you write down your list, you frame it like we've done,
Print it and frame
print it and frame it, and then you put it on your bedroom wall. And then when you get mad at your spouse,
you look at it,
because then it reminds you.
You're like, oh yeah,
I do like them.
They do have some good characteristics. Stop focusing on the one slice gone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think it's important on how you see yourself and how you see your spouse. It's huge. I mean, it's going to make or break your marriage. Literally going to make or break it. So let's get a handle on how we look at ourselves and how we treat our spouse. And then I'll just, for honorable mention, Dad and Luetta, my parents, they did the third and fourth session, and they talked about empathy, how you get in the boat with your spouse. They said get in the puddle. That was funny. Get in the puddle with the spouse. But understanding your spouse, how are they feeling? Why are they feeling that? But being empathetic. I thought that was really good. And then the next session was on pausing.
Yeah.
When you're triggered, pause. Don't react and freak out and get defensive, because that never goes good, right? Never goes well.
Sure.
So pausing. And then we finished up on the purpose of marriage, and it was to reflect the love of Jesus. That was really good. So I just want to encourage you to get the book.
It's
good. Worth the read.
It really is.
It's really a good book on marriage. I think it'll really encourage you guys.
Me too. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us for a few minutes. We hope that this is an encouragement to you. We hope that all these episodes are. We would love to invite you to subscribe to this podcast, to share it with somebody, and to, join us in this quest of building healthy, lifelong marriages. We'll see you next time.